Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, let me adjust the mic. As you can tell by the title, we will be talking about a very active weather pattern that could be bringing the potential for several large winter storms. Again, at this point, there is no kind of one single storm that I'm going to be analyzing or looking at because there are just so many coming in through the west coast that it's just a matter of, what will these result into? Will they just kind of get torn up by the mountains, or will they actually dump a lot of snow across the west and then move further towards the east? There's a lot of things that need to be figured out, but I kind of wanted to just go over that and talk over while showing the models like I usually do. So sit back, enjoy. If you new viewer to this channel, hello, welcome. I talk about the weather, and if I'm a hobbyist, enthusiast, and of course, for all official information, go to the National Weather Service always. But if you do enjoy these, weather enthusiast videos, consider subscribing, consider liking the video, consider checking it out, and obviously, if you have any comment or concern, leave it down below. There's a little tree. It's all decorated now. It looks better in real life. There's a bit of a kind of like a little glare from the lights, but yeah. All right, let's start talking about this active weather pattern. Okay, so as I mentioned, we have a lot of stuff to go over, and again, none of it is about a particular significant system, but I do think that as you get towards around the Christmas time, we will start seeing more and more clarity in what may happen. And what is very certain is, I would say, for areas like the Southwest, right? If you are a viewer right now watching from Nevada, Utah, California, Colorado, maybe Wyoming, through the Northwest, Arizona. Well, Arizona is the Southwest, same with New Mexico, but the Northwest, Idaho, Washington, all those states, right? You are very likely to see a very active weather pattern coming, starting this week, so not far out. And this will be just kind of wave of precip after precip, and it already has begun across the Northwest. So let me just run through this weather model for you, and let me just show you what this one shows. I'm not gonna really show an individual system, just again run it through. You're gonna notice we have a lot of activity brewing here, relatively quiet further towards the east, a few clippers, disturbances, but look at right there. I mean, we have a lot of storms systems. Again, some of them do make it out into the plains. What they do here is a bit unknown, but let me look. Just surge of moisture after surge of moisture into the Southwest, the Northwest. I mean, every territory possible, and it pretty much continues as far as the models go, which this GFS takes us all the way through, it takes us all the way into 2022. So, it's pretty far out, almost a year. No, I'm joking. It's about half a month, 15 days. But notice, again, we have a lot of precipitation coming in. And this is not necessarily bad news because a lot of these areas need that. And truly, given that it's a La Nina year, just a remarkable scenario potentially with all that precip coming in. And let me just show you that one more time, run this through. Let's speed it up a bit just so you could see just storm after storm after storm. And again, you can see some of that activity does spill into the eastern United States, whether or not it's a nor'easter, a big storm. It's tough to tell, but let me show you just the precip amounts, the rough estimates at what some of the models show. And again, the models have been consistent with this. This isn't just one model run of the GFS that show this. It's many. And look at some of these snowfall amounts across. Look at southern Colorado. Those are amounts that are well off the charts of 48 inches plus. Probably if you were to zoom over that, you could see some 70 to 80 inch totals across Colorado, and a few hundred inches across the Sierra Nevada, across California. And then you can see the Northwest, the Bitterroots, the Wasatch. I think those are the mountains just west of or just east of Salt Lake. I didn't know that last time, but some viewers informed me about that. So yeah, the Wasatch also picking up a lot of snow, the Grand Tetons, the Bitterroots, the Cascades, the Panhandle of Idaho. I mean, just a lot of good needed snow. And again, it may be a bit too much at times. And again, the snowpack is already pretty significant, to say the least, across these locations, but again, I think it will just be continuously added on to. Just to let you know, to show you demonstrate the consistency of these models, this is what the model showed today at noon. This is the same 15-day snowfall, again with different data, right? At this point, outdated data, but look, I mean, right, again, more snow, same old story. They showed a bit more across the Midwest, and again, what the models do out here it varies way more than what they do here. Pretty much every single model run you look at shows a lot of snow across the West. I mean, literally every single one from the GFS at least, right? Or from the GFS at least. Now, I do want to show you that there are other models like the Canadian that show a very active pattern. Again, this is just 10 days out, so it's not 15 days, and it still shows a lot of snow. And again, it too has been very consistent. Look at yesterday, same old story. There are differences between them. Some show a bit less and different amounts for different mountain ranges, but overall, the message is a lot of activity. Now, again, what happens further east, for areas like Illinois, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and further towards the east, Pennsylvania, New York, Ohio, and the south, maybe, a lot of these areas are still a bit uncertain, right? And, I live across Illinois, and, I would definitely be talking about something big if I could, if I was given the chance, but there just doesn't, there's not enough confidence. So I showed you the GFS. Let me show you the Canadian now. Again, this is the 10-day forecast model that I pulled up. I just showed you its precip amounts in terms of snowfall. Let's see what it does individually with these storms. So notice it does bring a few clippers, and there is one of note that it starts this upcoming week, and that one does track across southern Canada and look at that, northern Minnesota and into the UP. This one in particular has quite a bit of strength with it. Even though it's, cut off from any moisture, it's a little kind of a bullet of snow, and it drops decent amounts of snow. And it doesn't really intensify into a nor'easter or anything. It does try dragging this large precip band up towards the north. Earlier, there were thoughts of potentially nor'easter again. Not really a threat at this point. There's still something to watch for. And then notice that we do have a lot of activity at this point already occurring next week. This is just kind of Christmas Eve. The Thursday, right? Christmas Day is on Saturday, it would be on Saturday. And notice that we do have systems, right? You can see the Canadian shows something right here across the Northeast, the Midwest, whether or not, that's further south or north or different oriented kind of system. It's uncertain, and I know I hate vagueness and saying it's uncertain, but I mean, literally, that's what it is. We don't know, especially with how kind of chaotic the weather models have been. But look, this one also, again, just shows storm after storm for the Southwest, and it starts brewing up a pretty decent sized beast. Again, whether or not it's of this size, further south, further north, it does seem like the pattern will start getting active after Christmas, because up until then, for much of the eastern United States, let me show you, other than this system that we have going on right here, there isn't much. I mean, really, there's, again, that little clipper, but there's no big system, a bit of rain across the south. Really, this activity starts penetrating to the mountains up until, past, I should say, Christmas. Christmas Day, there's a chance for a storm, and anything beyond that, the chance to start increasing quite dramatically, to say the least. And again, the GFS, if I were to go with this slower, you could see that, again, there's that system today. We do have quite a bit of quiet activity. Tuesday, Wednesday, we have that clipper. We start seeing a lot of moisture right there across the west through, starting really Tuesday, Wednesday. This continues all the way into Saturday, December 25th. That first system we'll have to watch for, maybe a nor'easter. We'll have, a lot of possibilities. We have another system right there, the 29th. On New Year's Eve, we have a ton of snow across, New Year's Eve is right here, the 31st, and we have a lot of, again, precip, snow, rain, whatever that may be, in what form it's active. And you can see that the GFS shows a lot of cold air, and that's the other thing I wanted to mention, that's even though, again, the snowstorm is one, there's a lot of things needed for a good snowstorm across the United States, and those things, sometimes some models put that together and they show a system, sometimes they don't. But what they have been more consistently showing, guys, is not really a warm pattern anymore, which is good. You could see that there are actually quite a few model runs from the GFS, and this one also included, that shows a decently chilly air. And let me show you the anomaly right here. That's nothing bitter or barbaric, but that is chilly compared to especially what we've been seeing, 60s in Illinois. Right, that's some chilly air, and I think that there will be more frequent incursions of that. Look across the northern plains. That is some chilly weather. Where, again, those anomalies are actually pretty significant. If you were to actually look at that, yeah, I mean, up to 20 degrees below average in some areas. So we'll have to wait and see what exactly the models do. But definitely, that warm air is way more suppressed. And just to give you a more broader look, let's take a look at ensembles. So these are many models combined, overlapped over each other. So we don't have that kind of volatility. It's kind of like a nice portfolio, right? A stock market indice. It's basically, instead of just looking at one stock that doesn't represent the total, you look at a bunch. much. You look at one that has 100, 200 different stocks, and you can see what the general move of the market is. That's kind of like what a weather model is in terms of the ensemble weather model. It's a bunch of these individual crazy ones combined into a larger portfolio, if you will, and it's displayed in terms of this case, it's temperature. And look, right, we do have quite a bit of warm air in the short range. There could be a brief incursion right on Christmas for much of the central United States, but what we quickly start seeing is a lot of this growing cold air. Now, it's not abrupt, but day by day, again, some models bring it a bit quicker, some slower, and the ensembles do a good job of portraying that. But you could see which air mass becomes a bit more dominant towards the long range, right? I mean, there's a lot more blue here than there was blue at hour 84, which you could see right there, boom, in hour 384. Yeah, you could see that's the furthest we go out. And, definitely warmer towards the south still, but at least it's cooler for a good half of the country. While at hour 90, it's a bit of a mix. And then hour 50, you could see it starts dominating. But again, towards the end, again, there is a chance for a pretty good big cool down, and that's just the GEFS kind of ensemble. The European ones, which is again kind of a bunch of models combined, but from the European family, you could see warmth, but then that cold air towards that 240 time frame, right? So past Christmas, it starts making a bigger comeback and penetrating through. Again, probably won't be this gradual because these are just many models combined and the models are volatile, but you could see that what we do kind of see is, well, basically a trend, right? A trend towards cooler weather. Now, so we have the cold weather, we have a lot of moisture, and again, now all it takes is just to show a big system, and the models do show activity right across the west. I already emphasized that many times. Notice again, little systems further east, nothing extraordinary. Again, maybe a potential nor'easter. No model really brings it out far enough north. Again, a lot of activity out here, guys. If you live across the southwest, I mean, look at that. Next Thursday, boom, just an onslaught of precip, and this will begin already on Tuesday for many. It already has begun for the areas across the northwest. And then look, just storm after storm. And this first one breaks through on Christmas Eve. We'll have to see what it does. Again, if you recall, the GFS shows way more snow across the Midwest. The European does not. It keeps it more across southern Canada. But that will give snow to cities like Montreal, Ottawa, maybe Quebec, or maybe the Northeast. And it does introduce quite a bit of chilly air, just enough for this second system to take advantage of and bring snow a bit further towards the south. The Twin Cities, 2 days after Christmas, into Wisconsin. Nothing extraordinary, but definitely a few inches falling. And then look, we have a larger system on this dip of this jet stream, and then the European starts developing a decently kind of potent storm. And then look, right there, just another massive one riding in through the west. So you guys get the memo. And look, right there, by the way, if you live across the west, Washington, Oregon, that would be snow for you. Seattle, Portland, that's what I meant to say. Even the lower elevation cities. That is definitely a snowstorm for you guys. So there's a lot of things to watch here for. And let me just take a look at this total snowfall according to the European model, and you can see just how different this one is compared to the GFS. It shows equally as much snow across the west, right? But more snow for, say, cities like Seattle. And if I could actually zoom in on this regional and take a look at the northwest, this shows almost half a foot for Seattle, and it shows decent amounts for Portland. Several actually. Almost a foot and a half. Again, that's a pretty extraordinary scenario, but if you are to take a look at the GFS, it shows a lot less of that and a lot less lower elevation snow. So, we'll have to see which one is more accurate, which one's less accurate. The newer model run, you can see still kind of the same thing. This shows some snow, just not as much, right? So, again, it still looks pretty optimistic for the Northwest folks that want snow. Canadian, I already showed you this model, but I didn't zoom it in. I showed you on this website. Again, there's a potential for those lower elevation cities to see snow. I don't know anywhere else that... I don't know any, just find your city, because there's so many cities out here and valleys and whatnot, so I don't know each individual one, but find your rough location, and where they have those numbers, that's usually around a larger city area. So, you can see that some of them are pretty big. Obviously, the whites over here are the mountains, but even the larger cities could see some snow. And the European, which is usually a pretty good model, really does show a lot for the lower elevations. So that's definitely interesting. And you can see it shows Salt Lake at almost 14 inches. So, and same thing with over a half a foot of snow for Seattle and Oregon. So I would say that's pretty exciting. Now, again, I know this may not be as exciting for the people that live out further towards the east. But again, I think that once this pattern starts getting cranked up here, it's only a matter of time before some of these systems start spreading into the United States, eastern half of the United States. And again, you can see that the European and other models did start showing that, right? Just again, not as intensely as across the west. but I think it's only a matter of time before they construct a system, because I think it's inevitable with so many systems riding through. One of them is kind of bound to produce a decent sized system. This is the UK model. It goes out to 144, so not really long range, but I still like to look at it if it supports the general theme of the other models. And you can see that it is pretty active across the West just through next Friday, with already, over 50, 60 inches potentially across the Southwest. And it, again, keeps a lot of the eastern United States pretty warm and calm through Christmas. But I think that will be changing as we get into the long term, past kind of Christmas. And let me just show you, take a look at the 6 o'clock one model run today, past the Christmas time frame. So again, this is Christmas, and I just want to show you that, right? We do have a lot of snow to the north right there, right? Again, a clipper that kind of makes it through. So that's already some increased activity, continued activity out here. You can see it shows some rain, a bit of snow, a bit of sleet. Again, just these little systems with a lot of that Pacific air and a bit of more of that cold air. And you can see some snow, increased snow chances. So again, this is just one scenario, right? I mean, if I were to take a look at the midnight one, shows a general active pattern supporting of this, but it's probably different. So again, this is the 21st, this is the 22nd. Starts off very active across the Southwest, right? Again, as I mentioned, that's the thing that we're very, very confident in, and I think that is pretty much a guarantee at this point. And then look, again, clippers, systems, potentially, it's already different from the one I just showed you, even though they're 6 hours apart. But you can see it right there, yep, another nasty system, even right before New Year's Eve. And then afterwards, look, maybe towards the south, this model yesterday really was advertising a lot of cold air and a lot of that dipping towards the south. And with the today's, it doesn't do that. So it's not necessarily a trend. It's just the models aren't decided on what to do. But yes, of course, if you're to take a look at the short range ones, which give us a good view of what's to come in the next 84 hours, the main concern is that, again, increasing precip across the Southwest, and some of that could be rather concerning at how much those amounts could amount to. And let me just go back here. I know I'm jumping around quite a bit, but I just want to show you this, that the next 15 days, according to the GFS, you could find some, 300-inch amounts across the Sierra. I mean, look at this. I'm going my cursor over some of these mountain ranges, and we have, triple digits, well over triple digits. And it's not just the Sierra. Obviously, these are the mountains, so they see higher amounts. But even for the Sierra, that is quite an impressive snowpack. Obviously, that's not falling in large metros. But, speaking of the large metros, it will be a lot of rain for you. If you live across California, you're not up in the elevated areas, which most people aren't, you're going to be still seeing a lot of rain, and that extends all the way into Southern California. So that is good news. And you can see pretty dry, for at least for the short term, across the Midwest, the southern plains, maybe the Northeast and Southeast seeing a bit more activity. But I do think, again, that will be changing and increasing. At this time, sometimes I like to look at the CFS. This is an extremely long-range model. Honestly, it's pretty inaccurate for, it's actually very inaccurate for an individual storm system. But I like to look at it to see if it shows any particular theme, like, a very or nor'easter-oriented pattern. It shows like many nor'easters, or maybe it shows a warm-up and not really a cold pattern. Again, not always accurate, but it's sometimes good to look at it. And let's see. So again, it shows a lot of activity across the west, southwest. So that's good. It's agreeing with the main models that I show you. Okay, right? So it gives it some credibility. And notice that, like the other ones, it does keep it relatively calm for at least the next 150 hours. It shows these little systems. They don't really amount to much. And again, and this model overblows a lot of them, so they look big, but they're actually not. And I'll tell you, once a big one comes across in this model, you'll know it covers half the country. Obviously, an over-exaggeration because it's a long-range model, but you can see, again, around past that Christmas time frame, it starts showing more systems, right? The bigger, more activity across the east, still an inflow of precip into the southwest, and then look right there further towards the south, the system across the Midwest and northeast into, again, even further south into the mid-Atlantic. And then at this point, this is very far out. This is like the first half of January already, and you can see it still shows an active pattern, right? Right there's a little nasty system, a lot more cold air, shows some snow across Texas. So again, I think we have quite a interesting pattern afterwards. But yeah, I think a lot more activity for the eastern United States. But this model by itself isn't really supporting anything that I see in particularly alarming or different. No real heat ups, no real bitter Arctic outbreaks. A few systems, obviously, but I think that definitely winter is going to kick it up a notch, because if you're to take a look at the total snowfall of this season, seasonal snowfall analysis, it's rather limited to just the north. In some areas, it has been significant, like the UP of Michigan has already seen over 50 inches in some areas, 56 inches. But I think it's gonna start cranking up quite a bit in just a few weeks. All right, so that's basically it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you all in the next episode. See ya. Bye.